What's up, y'all? Alex Thompson here with another Sports Talk video today. In case you haven't noticed, NBA playoffs started yesterday. Going to be talking about the wins from yesterday and the games from today that were played and who win and who's going to win this Rockets game that's happening right now as we speak. All right, so let's get into this. So we have 8 teams from each side, obviously the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. I'm going to break down the games and who are going to win these first round series in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. So just going to start it off. You have the Golden State Warriors with the number 1 seed going against the LA Clippers with the 8th seed. You have the number 2 seed Denver Nuggets against the number 7th seed San Antonio Spurs. Number 3 seed Portland Trailblazers against number 6 seed OKC. Number 4 Houston Rockets against the number 5 seed the Utah Jazz. That game is happening right now. Game 1, Houston is up in this game. They've held at least a 10-point lead most of the game. Moving to the Eastern Conference now, we have the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks against the number 8 seed Detroit Pistons. Number 2 seeded Toronto Raptors against Orlando Magic with the number 7 seed. Number 3 seed Philadelphia Sixers against the 6 seeded Brooklyn Nets. And the number 4 seeded Boston Celtics against the number 5 seeded Indiana Pacers, who are missing Victor Oladipo. That is the matchups for the round 1 of the 2019 NBA playoffs. So we're just going to start off with in the Western Conference, and we'll move to the Eastern Conference. Starting off with the Golden State Warriors versus the Clippers. Just a little matchup. Facts need to know about this series. These are the top 2 3-point shooting teams in the NBA right now. You have number 1 3-point shooting team in Golden State Warriors for obvious reasons. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Kevin Durant. Phenomenal team on that side. Then you have the Clippers. They are the number 2 seeded team. They have Lou Williams, Gallinari, Landry Shamet with that trade for Tobias Harris. It's obviously got great players on both sides and coaches, Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers. I just don't see the Clippers hanging with the Warriors at all. You know, they're putting a lot of effort into the regular season, but playoffs is when everyone works harder, and you're going against the reigning champs, and I just don't see this team beating the Warriors. So I'm going to say Warriors in 4. They won yesterday. Steph Curry had a phenomenal night, 38 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Yeah, 15 rebounds for Steph Curry. Crazy. 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 8 3-pointers made. Warriors in 4 in this one. They just need to keep moving on. And I just, like I said, I don't see the Clippers really stopping the Warriors on their quest for another championship. Moving to the Denver versus San Antonio Spurs game. The Nuggets actually lost at home, where they have the best record, 34-7 at home. Yeah, they lost to this 7-seeded Spurs at home, game 1. Yes, very surprising win for the Spurs, but I think it's a great win for them to take one on the road if they want to stay competitive in this matchup. With this surprising win, that the Nuggets are going to be a little more like woke in a sense of like, okay, these guys actually came here to play and they actually are competing, and it's not going to be an easy 4-0 type of deal. Denver needs to come out more explosive in order to win this series, especially the next couple games. And also, Gary Harris needs to be back like last year in his old form. You know, this year he's had injuries and he's, I guess, digressed in what his development should be. This series is going to be veterans versus inexperienced guys. Top 3 scorers/stars for the Denver Nuggets have not played in a playoff game. So that's going to match up well for Pop and the San Antonio Spurs, because they have a bunch of veterans on San Antonio with a couple young guys, and Derek White and Forbes and DeJounte Murray. But I'd say Denver does have the better team, though. You look at, okay, they're the 2 seed for a reason, but I just think they have better guys. They have Nikola Jokic, a.k.a. the Joker, getting older, Paul Millsap, Jamal Murray, and their guys off the bench. Something else that happened with the Spurs win, Greg Popovich became the most winning coach last night in NBA history in playoffs and regular season too. So congrats to him, but you know, for how talented he is and his guys are, I just don't think that they're going to win this series. I think the Denver Nuggets have too high expectations for themselves. So I think the Nuggets in 6 for this one. Moving on to the 3-seeded Portland Trailblazers and 6-seeded OKC Thunder. What we're going to be looking at in this matchup is the Damian Lillard versus Westbrook matchup. Yep, the point guard. Two elite point guards going at with each other. They've had some previous matchups where they get heated with each other, and I think these guys really bring out the best of each other. So that'll be interesting to watch. Paul George really has to show up in these playoffs if Thunder want to win. He goes off for 30 points a game. More likely than not, they're going to be winning. He had 4 steals the last game. Paul George has to show up in the playoffs if the OKC want to succeed in winning more in this series and in the future series if they do those 4 games. Enes Kanter filling in for an injured Nurkic. I think he really filled his shoes well. He had 20 points, 18 boards, really stepped up and gave them a win, especially going against his old team. I think that's going to add a little bit more fire under Kanter's persona and ability to be like, okay, you guys traded me, well, I'm going to show you what you guys missed out. So Enes Kanter, great job on stepping up for your team and getting that first win and going up 1-0 and holding down that home court advantage. Something else about this game, OKC has won the series between these two in the regular season. They are 4-0. But hey, playoffs aren't the regular season. This matchup that's going to be interesting. You have 2 top 5 defenses and offense. You have the top 5 offense Portland Trailblazers versus the top 5 defense in OKC Thunder. So that's going to be really good to look at to see how those two are going to attack each other in different ways, which will be nice. I have the Blazers in 7 for this series. I just think getting swept last year as a 3 seed against the Pelicans, led by Anthony Davis, I just don't see them losing again. So I have the Blazers winning this one in 7, like I said. Last matchup in the West we're going to be looking at is the 4-seeded Houston Rockets against the 5-seeded Utah Jazz. Like I said, they're playing right now. They're probably about to start the 4th quarter. You know, the question for this is, can Harden really carry a team into the playoffs? Obviously, from Christmas until, I'll say February, maybe even March, like James Harden had to carry the team because of injuries to Chris Paul and Capella, but they're both back now, so that should ease the load for him. But you know, it's Harden's team, and can Harden carry this team against the the second defense in the NBA and the best defense in the Western Conference with Rudy Gobert, who is the reigning defensive player of the year? So that's going to be a question. Another one, can CP3 stay healthy? We all know that CP3 is a great point guard, kind of getting a little older now, which is, happens with time. But, we look at his past and we notice, okay, this dude gets injured a lot in the playoffs. It might not be the first round. If it is, it's something minor. It happens in the second round and even the semifinals and even the conference finals. Like last year, they were 1 win away and CP3 went down. And I felt like that was one of the reasons why they lost. So can CP3 stay healthy enough to lead this team to become the Western Conference champs and maybe even the finals champs? So a couple questions there. Like I said, Jazz has the best defense in the West, so it's going to be a tough matchup for the Rockets. The number 2 offense and the number 2 defense. So just like the Blazers and OKC, it's going to be really interesting to see how these two teams really attack each other and find these holes and, have a game plan where they can beat each other. The Rockets will win this run. I think it'll be Rockets in 6, even though they split the regular season series 2-2. Jazz just don't have the offensive weapons that the Rockets do, and I just think that's going to come back to hinder them. Fun fact, Jazz and the Rockets have the best record since the All-Star break. So you know that these teams are hot, and it's going to be a good matchup. So for Western Conference's first round series, I have the Warriors winning, I have Denver winning, I have the Trailblazers winning, and then I have the Houston Rockets winning. So those are the Western Conference matchups. Moving on to the Eastern Conference now. 1-seeded Bucks versus the 8-seeded Pistons. Saw today's game. They led as many by 48, 43, and I don't see the Pistons hanging on to this at all, not even for a game. Best team in the NBA this year is the Bucks. They have the best record, Bucks in 4, for simple reasons. Pistons don't have the good amount of guards as the Bucks do, and their defense is trash, and the East is trash. So Bucks in 4. Moving on. 2nd-seeded Toronto Raptors versus the 7th-seeded Orlando Magic. This game happened yesterday, and Magic won. Yes, Magic came into Toronto and stole a game. I don't think a lot of people knew this would happen. When Kyle Lowry goes scoreless in a game where he's paid millions of dollars, it's kind of, I feel like, easier to win that way. So good defense by the Magic. Raptors want to win. Kyle Lowry has to score at least 15, at least 20 if they want to win. You cannot be putting up 0 points for a playoff team, especially if you want to go to the finals. I feel like I also didn't see 100% from the Raptors itself, and I feel like that's why they kind of let the Magic sneak back in and win this game. Magic are definitely the underdogs in this matchup. They're a number 7 seed, in the 7-seeded team. They put the effort in the regular season to get into the playoffs, which is awesome. I just don't know if they have the players or the stars to beat this Raptors team in a 7-game series. Kawhi sat out a quarter of the season so he can be ready for the playoffs and be healthy. He's well rested now, so he needs to come out looking to pass, looking to communicate, and scoring for them and defensively holding it down because he is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. For this matchup, I have the Raptors winning in 5. I think the Magic just got lucky, especially with the scoreless Kyle Lowry. I think the Raptors are going to sit down and figure out a game plan and be like, okay, guys, this is what we need to do, and they're going to execute it well. Bench is too deep for them to be losing any more games and to be losing this series. So Raptors in 5 for this matchup. Moving on to the Boston and Indiana series. It is the 4 versus the 5. Indiana is not the same team without Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo is the star of that team. He was their scorer. He was their defender. He was the MVP of that team. And with him having that season-ending injury, their playoff hopes really kind of tank. Indiana's not going to win this series, unfortunately, just because Victor Oladipo's out. If he was in, it'd be a whole nother story, and it would be, who knows what would be happening, but we don't know because he's out. Boston's depth is unbelievably good. Their bench is tremendously good. Terry Rozier coming off the bench, Marcus Smart coming off the bench, who is injured with an abdominal strain. He will be missing the first couple games, but he'll be back. Indy might win a game of this series, but I don't think they're going to win the series for obvious reasons. Boston's just too good. They made it to the conference finals last year. Indiana's not going to pull it out. I got Boston in 5. Like I said, Indiana might win a game. I just think that they're going to, they're not going to do it. Sorry. So Boston's winning this one. Moving on to the more interesting matchup of these playoffs in the first round and in the East. In case you didn't know, Game 1 was played yesterday. Nets won in Philly. They stole a game, yes, in Philly. The series was split in the regular season 2-2, so you know it's going to be a good game. There's no pressure on the Nets at all. They have their main star is D'Angelo Russell, and then it's just a bunch of mediocre guys. Next best player on that team is Jarrett Allen, and that dude is a star blocking machine. He's blocked the likes of LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden, Paul George maybe, Anthony Davis twice. This dude blocks all the stars. But other than that, they just have a bunch of mediocre guys in the NBA. The Sixers, though, they have so much talent on that team. You have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. Like, that starting lineup is too talented for them to be losing this games and even this series. Like, Ben Simmons can't shoot past 10 feet. His shooting percentage outside of the 10-foot range is 21%. Yeah. Booty. As much as I like the Sixers, Ben Simmons has got to work on his shooting ability because he's already a great ball handler, passer, great IQ, great vision, slashing like an animal, dunking like a monster, but he can't shoot. And in 2019, in this era of basketball, you need to be able to shoot, especially in threes, because in critical times, people aren't going to guard you because you know that they can't shoot. So they're going to go double team someone else who's going to be like Jimmy Butler or Tobias. So, like I said, pressure's all on the Sixers to win this series. They just have too much talent. Like, their ceiling and everyone else's thinks that their ceiling is conference champs, maybe even finals, getting into the finals. It's going to be a good matchup. Like we saw 2 days ago, Brooklyn has come to play, and they ain't messing around. Something else about this matchup is that Joel Embiid's injury for his back and even his knee could come back to haunt him. You know, if they keep playing him at high minutes, they're going to get... his injuries are going to get aggravated, and that may have time for him to sit and not be in the game to help his team out. So even though the Sixers lost the first game, I still think they're going to win this series. I think they're going to win it in 6. I really think they're going to come out with a new game plan next time they play and really execute it well and win the series because, like I said, they're too talented. They have all this pressure on them, and that pressure is maybe starting to show because they're starting to crack, but I don't think that is necessarily the case. I just think that these guys on this team have not played a lot together, like at all. Tobias Harris came in the middle of the season. Jimmy Butler, 2/3 of the way in the season came in. Like, these dudes have not played together, and I don't think their chemistry is built up yet. But, they're talented basketball players. These dudes can score, and I think that they will win this series and figure out a way to come together and mesh and create even more chemistry than they already have. For the East, I have Milwaukee winning it. In the first round series, I have Toronto winning their series. I have Boston winning their series, and then I have the Sixers winning their series. But this series right here, this could be an upset. This could be a big upset, especially for the Nets because they've been playing really well together, Yes. So, earlier, I made a video for, who could be in the finals, and two different choices. I had the Nuggets versus the Sixers, and then I had the Warriors versus the Raptors. So I'm going to wipe that all away, get rid of that. I'm going to change my prediction. I think that this year's finals will be, I think it's going to be the Warriors again. I think it's going to be the Warriors versus the Bucks, just because the Bucks have the number one defense. And what does defense win you? Yes, it wins you championships. Defense wins you championships. They have the number one defense. They have big guys who can stretch the floor. They have multiple great shooters. And you have Antetokounmpo, who could win the MVP. He's the top 2 picks for this award. So that's what my finals is. I'm not going to give you who's going to win because I need to see how these playoffs play out a little bit more. Who's really going to show up for these playoffs? Who's going to ball out for the team? So these are my picks for the NBA playoffs of the first round series. We will be diving into them more in the very near future. I'm Alex Thompson. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends, share on Facebook, share on Twitter, share on Instagram. Thank you for watching. I'm so excited to be doing this once again. I'm out of here. I'm going to go watch the rest of this Rockets game. Peace.